Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Might Need This Later, a Gamers podcast. My name is Joe, and with me, as always, are two of my bros. One of them, the guy wearing the really tight Speedo on the beach, and the other, the world champion for most Coke Zero consumed in one gaming session. It's Jess and Connor. What's up, guys?
Oh man.
What's up?
Yo, who's who this
Hmm.
week?
I could be both.
You could be both.
I could be both.
Well, I already know because I don't drink Coke Zero, so that
So
really
you're
narrows
Speedo
it
guy.
down. I'm Speedo man, and I would rock that like no one's business.
Can I
Awesome.
can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You sound great this week, Joe.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Just wanted to say, it sounds like we made some improvements on the audio.
Yeah, I'm currently, instead of a mic stand, I'm using a Christmas popcorn container to stand my mic on.
See,
So,
innovations.
making some innovations, exactly. Well, it's awesome to see you guys. You guys want to get the show started?
Let's do it.
All right.
Bam.
But before we go, there is one more thing. We have a very special guest joining us today. He's a Batman no-lifer, a connoisseur of terrible odors, and I think he needs an inhaler every time he laughs. But most importantly, he's one of my favorite people in the world. What's up, Rob? How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here.
Well, we are really happy to have you on the show today. And speaking of which, we're going to have an awesome show lined up for everyone. So we're going to talk about the video game characters that we think are the worst of the worst. It's a broad question, but a very important one to discuss. So it should be a lot of fun. But before we do that, let's jump into the question of the week. What do you have for us, Jess?
All right, first, before the question of the week, I feel like I should mention Rob is my brother. You
I know.
didn't mention that.
Yeah, we don't need to mention that.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you sure about that? I don't know if
Uh,
that's. We'll track back to that one.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to do the legwork. Did we do the
I think you guys need to go to ancestry.com.
Ancestry.com?
Yeah,
Or
make
do the
sure
thing
the
where you
20
gotta spit in like a tube and send it to
Yeah,
somewhere?
Yeah.
All right, we'll
Oh,
take
it's
care of that.
23 and me or whatever.
23
yeah,
and me. There we go.
23 and me.
23.
Yeah.
All right. So the question of the week this week is if you can take a TV or a TV show or a movie and turn it into a video game, which would you choose?
Awesome. All right. So, Rob, since you are the guest this week, I'm going to let you have first crack at it. So, what do you got for us?
All right. So I definitely struggled with this question because I think a lot of my choices already have games. So one that I think Jesse definitely can relate to. I don't know about you, Joe or Connor, but I don't think they ever made a video game about one of my favorite animes called Cowboy Bebop.
Oh my
Cowboy
Did
Bebop
you,
was
did you steal it from Jess? I hope you stole it from him.
Yes, he did.
It's
Wow.
so great.
First, I'm 1 for 1. One
For
for
one.
one. I'm batting 1,000. So, for those who don't know what Cowboy Bebop is, it was a single season anime show with a movie. Absolutely phenomenal. Probably one of my favorite shows. It was on Adult Swim years and years ago. Um, I had the DVD set. I watched it while I was overseas, probably at least a dozen times. And they never made a game about it. And it's basically about three bounty hunters, all with three ecstatic different personalities. And although there's like one linear storyline, every episode sort of kind of branches off into its own miniature storyline. And so the show just kind of keeps you guessing. And the movie is phenomenal. And I'm super glad that I stole it from Jesse right underneath the feet.
Anything to add, Jess?
Well, so I'm gonna jump behind him because obviously it was mine, but I wrote down two that they're, in my opinion, they're probably the same. So Cowboy Bebop one, but the other one would be Firefly. If you guys ever watched Firefly, it's the same sort of show to me. It's space bounty hunters, not Firefly's not bounty hunters, but it's still the same idea. So my idea behind Cowboy Bebop would be open world space game. You're doing bounties to get money. You get to play as Spike in Cowboy and Bebop. You get to play as Malcolm in Firefly. The thing I was thinking about with Bebop is you could, like, remember they have the gambling hall, so you can go. You know, the idea of little mini games and playing at the gambling hall, and then also the thing is there was only one season, so making either a continuation, which will be difficult, or being able to go through the storyline would be really cool in either one, Cowboy Bebop or Firefly. So I guess I'll just add Firefly. But like I said, it's kind of the same, would be kind of the same game.
Can I just say how super happy I am that right off the bat he stole it from you?
Honestly,
it happens. To the best
honestly, I
of
was sitting there and I was like, "There's no way that anybody else is gonna think of this." But then in the back of my head, I was like, "Jesse might, but
you
what are
do
my
realize
odds?"
So
that-
I think we answered the question if we are brothers or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Cowboy Bebop is a stretch. You're talking about a show that's got to be 20 years old now.
I mean,
It got
obviously
older.
you haven't seen your brother's car in a while, but he literally has "CU Space Cowboy" as a
Yep.
decal on his car.
Does he?
Yes, I do.
I was unaware of that, but I'm glad I'm 1 for 1.
Hey, Connor, what do you got?
All right. So for mine, I didn't really struggle with this just because it's one of my favorite. I guess you can call it anime. It's not really anime, but Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like if they turned that into a game, it would have so much potential, especially because they could make a whole new storyline where you're a new avatar. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that would be a really, really fun game. Or even going back and playing as either Aang or Korra, either one. I wouldn't mind going back and playing through as like an interactive, I don't know, like an adventure
Yeah,
RPG
that
game.
would be really cool if like they just did like a one-off on its own thing, kind of like how they did with the Game of Thrones Telltale, or is it like its
Exactly.
own thing separate from the actual story, where
Yeah.
you are the avatar and like going through on your adventure. I think that would be really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. You can like pick like your companion, you know what I mean? How there was like Appa or like you can for Aang, there's like I feel like there was do with it and customization you could do that it would be really fun to play. I'd play
You
that.
wanna hear something funny? So I'm glad I just went with the Firefly or jumped on the back because my backup was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh my god,
I don't know what's going on today, boys.
you're just getting ripped off everywhere.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. All right. So for my TV show, now, granted, I didn't do a ton of research to see if it was already a thing because I'm pretty sure that it's not. And if it isn't, it really needs to be so. Westworld, the game. Have you guys
Oh
seen
my god,
Yeah,
have you guys
yes.
seen the
CGI.
HBO series?
Yeah, I
So
like that.
good.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie from the 70s or the HBO series, like, may I recommend one of the best ever? So Westworld is one of several themed parks in a larger company called Delos Incorporated or Delos Industries, whatever, depending on which version you're watching. And guests go to this park to immerse themselves in a simulation of the Wild West. So on the surface, a game would kind of resemble like Red Dead Redemption, but there's a caveat. All of the NPCs in the park are very advanced, like would pass a Turing test type of robot or android, excuse me, and they drive the storylines within the park. So as a player or guest, you can choose to be either a white hat or a black hat, noting your sense of good or evil that you would abide by during your playthrough. And there's no rules in Westworld for the guests. Like, you can be as good or as evil and do whatever you want. Like, if you want to go and rob banks, you go and rob banks. You want to go on a murder spree, you go on a murder spree. If you just want to hang out in the main town and seduce all the wenches, you do that. And park guests, they can't be hurt by the NPCs, but you can just kind of just do whatever vice that you want to do. And you could have like this open world mode where you're just a guest at the park undergoing all the storylines that are available, like in either capacity as a white or black hat. Or eventually, in that story mode, the NPCs, like in the show, would become sentient and start murdering their way out of the park and becomes like this survival horror game from that point. Like, there's so much to unpack with that series, and I think it'd be really exciting to play from like multiple different areas.
I completely agree. I feel like they would have to do something different to make it feel different than Red Dead, like you said though.
Yeah.
But I think that has so much potential, and as long as they brought in what's his name, Anthony Hopkins, a CGI
sure.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree. All right. So thank you, Jesse, for that question. I would be excited by playing any of these games if they were to become reality. So, all right, you guys ready to get to the meat of today's show?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nitty gritty.
The nitty gritty?
Mhm.
All right, so we're going to talk about who we think are the worst video game characters ever. So the worst of the worst. And there's so many ways that we can go with this. Like, they could be annoying characters. They could be evil characters. They could be protagonists with no personality. There's so many ways to go. And I'm really excited to see what you guys have come up with. And our order for this week is as follows. So Rob, since you're the guest, you get the dubious honor of going first.
Strike first, baby.
Yep. I'll have the second pick. Jesse will go third. And Connor will be bringing up the rear as the anchor. So let's get it going. Rob, start us off.
Can I say this? This is the first time with four of us. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's a little exciting.
Very exciting.
I'd like to get in the mix here. This is good. So my first pick, I know for a fact Jesse has it. So I'm gonna do him a favor, and I'm just gonna parlay that one to him. So I actually drew up a pretty long list here. I was surprised how many people I could come up with, or characters, I should say, that either, like you said, annoyed me or just didn't make the game funner.
Yep.
So my top pick that Jesse has, my second pick, I wanted to go with Navi from Zelda Ocarina of Time.
The obvious choice.
Probably, yeah, I wanted to go with my first obvious pick. And Navi, like an unnecessary evil in that game. I just don't think, I don't need somebody while I'm going on my adventure to be like, hey, look at this. Hey, look at that. Hey, watch out. Do this, do that. No, just let me figure it out on my own. It was like your dad looking over your shoulder and be like, nah, don't do that. Do this. Don't do that. No. So I'm sitting there. Like, I remember because it was the first game I got on N64. Me and Jesse got N64 for Christmas, and had to be like 97, whatever it was. Maybe Jesse will remember better. And like our first two games, I forget what the second one was, but I got Ocarina of Time because I'm always a lifelong Zelda fan. And I remember within the first 20 minutes of playing the game, when you get Navi assigned to you, I was like, man, this character is annoying. Like, I hope I don't have to deal with this for the rest of the game. But there I am fighting.
Joke's on you, buddy.
I'm fighting Ganon, like 30 hours later. Like, damn, this character is annoying still. But yeah, that was my first pick. I assumed somebody else had it, so I wanted to at least take one for myself there.
So we got Navi from Ocarina of Time. That's
a good one.
Solid pick. Solid pick. Probably was on all of our lists at some point.
Was on mine.
Yeah. All right. So for my first pick, I'm going to go with another pretty easy one that I think we can all agree with, but it's going to have two parts to it. So it's going to be Baby Mario from Yoshi's Island on the SNES.
That's a good one.
Also, not just from Yoshi's Island, but from Mario Tennis. And I'll get to the Mario Tennis part in a second. But as far as Yoshi's Island goes, like, never has a character made me want to mute a game more. So as we all know, in this game, obviously you play as different Yoshis that are trying to reunite Baby Mario with his brother that's been kidnapped by some of Bowser's henchmen, specifically the Magic Koopa. And the reason why I can't stand Baby Mario is because if you ever get hit by an enemy or lose your hold on Baby Mario, he begins doing this shrieking baby scream that only gets worse as the timer to rescue him goes down. Like, it's so shrill that, like, I'm getting angry thinking about it right now as we speak. And it's just so mind numbing. Like, you have to play the game on mute or very low volume, or you're not going to be able to play it for very long. And there's 48 stages in this game. So you just have 48 stages of Baby Mario just yelling in your ear, crying. It's the worst. Hate it. But as a bonus, the second reason I hate Baby Mario is because way back when, again, another story, Jesse and a bunch of our friends, we all would play Mario Tennis together. And Baby Mario is one of the playable characters. And Jesse would always play as Baby Mario. And that character is aggressively fast, like easily the fastest character in the game. So no matter where you hit the ball on the screen, here comes Baby Mario's dumpy head zooming across the court to smash it back. Like, even if I faked Jesse out, he could still recover because of how fast the character was. It was super annoying, like really freaking annoying. Like, I'm mad thinking about it, and I wanted to ban Baby Mario from that game because of how stupid and annoying it is.
I love Baby Mario.
I know you do.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Joe, because I actually have a Mario Tennis character on my list as well.
Oh, good, excellent.
Not Baby Mario, but from the newer Mario Tennis, not like the Nintendo Switch one.
Okay, gotcha. Well, all right, that's the end of my rant. So,
all right, Jesse's
me.
Jesse, you're up.
Okay, so I know Connor's not going to take that one. So I'll start with, since we're talking about Mario characters, I'm going to start with Toad.
Not Toadette?
My first pick, I'm going to pick Toad. No, I think, so Toadette's not really annoying. Toadette's just a meme in our world.
You're right.
We only have 3 players. Usually we only have 3 people, so Toadette's always our 4th in Mario Party, but we're not going to get into that. So Toad, it's funny, we talked about it last week. Toad is the worst security of all time. Toad has one job, protect the princess, and he's pretty much the worst at it. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, what are they going over in Toad orientation? Honestly, Are they just there? Like, there's a picture of Princess on the board, and they're like, protect her. And Toad's asleep, and they're like, all right, good enough. Like,
You'd figure after the third Mario, they'd be like, maybe we should get new security guys here.
yeah, maybe get Toad with, I don't know, an assault rifle. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go.
And here's another thing. So Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars, you have a bunch of different playable characters, including Bowser. So you get to play as Bowser, which is cool. But Toad is not one of those characters.
There's several Toad in that game.
And here's the second thing. There are 2 additional characters that you can play as in that game that are not Toad. And Toad's still not a playable character. Like, Toad was so terrible and boring. They're like, let me bring in Mello and Gino, 2 new guys. And I want to add one additional thing. I know it's not Toad, it's Toad's Worth. But he is the most annoying because he's the one that always gives us the business when you don't have a mic in Mario Party 7, and we hate it every time.
Yeah, he's the worst. He just makes us feel bad about ourselves because we don't have a microphone hooked up to the game.
Like, hey, man, get a microphone. So for my first pick, I'm going to go with Toad.
That's a good one.
All right. So for my first pick, I'm gonna kind of go with the classic one too. It's gonna be Kirby from Super Smash Bros.
What?
I
Wow.
hate
Shots fired.
Kirby. He is so unbearably annoying because you try to keep poking him off the edge, but he just keeps coming back, and he just always drove me nuts. And he takes your abilities, and if you get playing against someone who's really good, you give him 2 ability. You know, it's not fun.
So
He's Kirby and someone else.
Okay,
So Kirby, but
Kirby-
specific to Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Kirby
so
was on my
think
list
we
for the
can-
same reason.
I think
there
we
you
can all agree, though. I think we can all agree that even if you hate Kirby, that Gourmet Race is a fire track. I
Absolutely.
think we can agree.
True.
No,
100%.
this is the reason I hate Kirby because Joe and Jesse one of them would always pick Kirby, undoubtedly. And me,
That's
I was
untrue.
either I was a Pikachu or a Link guy.
That's
And
unfounded.
yeah, all right. So anyway, so I'd be playing, minding my own business, and then one of them would be floating above me, and right before they turn into a brick, they just scream brick and just crush me every time. I'm like,
That sounds like me.
That sounds
yeah,
like both. of us,
that's
actually.
probably every time I think things are going my way, I might actually come out on top. Kirby comes flying out of the sky in the shape of a cinder block and just crushes my dreams.
So just to piggyback on that part of the Kirby story, like we didn't play Smash 64 in the conventional way. We played with our own specific format.
Yes.
So hear us out. Hear us out.
I think
Not just me, us.
I think we talked. We already went over the format.
Did we? Okay, then
Yeah.
I won't go over it.
Yeah.
Okay, then I won't go over it. It's still great,
Right.
and everyone should play it.
Everyone. There
I
we go.
think that my best Super Smash Brothers memories is one of the guys who used to play with us, Connor. I don't know if they mentioned it before, but absolutely horrible at the game. Absolutely horrible. But he would always pick Donkey Kong.
Yeah, we mentioned it. We told this story.
Yeah. I still to this day, got to be 15 years later, I'm still laughing hysterically about moments like that.
He would just grab you. You coming with me, and then just
You
jump
come
off
with
the
me,
ledge.
jump off the edge. His
Yeah, but if
kills and his deaths were exactly the same every
It's
time.
funny though, because if you're playing Kirby, you could have made it back.
Yes,
Yes, you
even
could
if
have. Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's why he's one of my least favorite.
All right, I
Um,
can get behind you on that one. So what do you got for your second one?
My second one is going to be just out of sheer annoyance, and if you're playing the game on Legendary, it made it so much harder. Was the Flood from Halo.
Oh yes.
Like when you were playing on Legendary, and you had I don't know what they were called, but they were like the creatures that had the spiders in their back, and you shoot them and they explode. Like having to kill those and then having all the Flood come out was always so terrifying, and I died so many times because on Legendary it doesn't take very much to kill you. And so, out of least favorite, that made the game so hard for me to complete on Legendary.
All right.
Legendary is very difficult.
Yeah, super difficult. All right, so the Flood is the wheel pick. All right, Jess, back to you.
All right, well, it's time to take Pokey, I suppose. So
about
my
that
second
time.
pick from Earthbound, I got to take Pokey. Pokey, it would be the number one pick for both me and Rob. Pokey is the most annoying character in any video game I've ever played. First off, he is the worst front runner of all time. He clearly he's clearly a fan, like the Cowboys, Lakers, Yankees, Penguins, or something. Like those are his sports team fandoms. Because whenever a team's doing well, he's like, I'm a fan. Like right now, he's a Chiefs fan. Like it's just the way he rolls, and that's how he works in the game. Every bad guy that's like doing stuff, he's like, yep, I'm with them now. Yep, I'm with them now. And as soon as they're defeated, he's like, moving on. All right, I'm with this guy now. And he's always talking smack, like constantly. He is the worst because he'll be talking about you. You're trying to save the world, and then you go to like he's with the new bad guy. You defeat that bad guy, and he's like, "Oh, I was just kidding. Sorry, lost my mind. Just kidding. You suck." And then he runs away, and you're like, "I hate this guy so much." And he lives next door to you, and so then he gets his dad to hate you too, which is terrible. And it's funny because I remember the one thing about it that annoyed me the most is in the beginning, you talk to Buzz, and he's like, there are gonna be 3 boys and 1 girl saving the world. And so it's like you, Pokey, and his brother Picky. And he's like, man, 3 boys saving the world. Doesn't sound like me.
Hope one of them is not
like,
me.
like he's not even invited,
Not
and he's
even
like,
remotely
I'm not gonna
interested.
be there. Yeah, so he is definitely the most annoying character. If you ever played Earthbound, he is frustrating.
The thing that I love about Pokey, love/hate, is that going back to the beginning of that game, when he's in your party for that brief amount of time, and every time it's his turn to go, he just like is hiding or doing something stupid. He doesn't actually take a turn to do anything. Like
Yeah,
his
he does
brother
nothing.
Picky is
Yeah.
actually way more useful than he is.
I think it's great because he follows you the entire game, like all the way up to Obviously, I don't want to give out spoilers for anybody that
Right,
decides to
it's
play for the first time.
30-year-old game
He
or whatever.
follows you all the way up. Yeah, he follows you all the way to the brutal end.
And beyond the end, because he says, maybe I'll meet you in another
Yes.
dimension.
Yep.
All right,
Which-
Pokey.
Knew it was
Okay.
coming.
Yeah, we knew it was coming. All right, so for my second pick, I'm gonna go with Aerie from Bravely Default. So Aerie is kind of like Navi. She's like a fairy-like companion to one of the main protagonists. Her name is Anya. She's the Vestal of Wind. So she kind of like drives the story. She like tells you where to go, what you're supposed to be doing, but in a very like really pushy like sense, like just very pushy, very annoying. So she helps the party like on their quest to awaken all of the crystals, the elemental crystals, because that's what the goal is of the game, is to awaken the elemental crystals, like any other like Final Fantasy-ish game. So she's just a more annoying Navi guiding you around the world. But what you don't know until you actually play through the game is that Aerie is just using the player characters to awaken the crystals for her own benefit and the benefit of her evil lord Ouroboros. So in each other parallel world, and each time the heroes awaken the crystals and walk into the Pillar of Light, Aerie shows her true forms, kills all the players, and merges another one of the worlds with the intent of merging all the parallel worlds into one and having Ouroboros kill everyone. Like, this piece of garbage, who's supposed to be like your friend and guide, has killed you thousands and thousands of times across different worlds. Like, she's the worst. And she's just Navi annoying throughout the whole game until she turns into this huge demon. And like, I'm so happy like at the end of the game you get to like beat the crap out of her and destroy her. But it's so hard to play that game again knowing like what you already know. So Aerie's my second pick. Screw Aerie. All right, Rob.
All right, so this one, Jesse, I know he definitely knows. Joe, you might know. Connor, I'm not too sure. Hopefully you've played the series. I'm going to go a little bit far back on this one, but not SNES far back. I'm going to go with Calypso from the Twisted Metal series.
Yeah.
So, you get used to, as a young video game player, like when you win, they're like, congratulations, you're the best. Here's your reward. You saved the princess. You did this, or did that. Not Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal, for anybody that's never played it, it was like a battle arena type game with cars, and every car had a different ability. They all had universal weapons. You had the homing rockets, fire rockets, so on and so forth. Do you guys remember like Twisted Metal 2, like some of the endings?
They were all tragic endings. Like, here, you're the victor. Now I'm gonna kill you,
I'm
or
gonna-
this is gonna happen to you.
I'm gonna give you a couple small examples, like Hammerhead, which is the big monster truck. It's Mike and Stu. They were like 2 like Southern boys, whatever. So they, at the end, Calypso's like, you can have anything you desire, and they wish to fly. So Calypso like strikes his hands together, lightning comes out, he's like, wishes granted. So then they go running towards the end of the building, because remember at the end it was on top of the rooftops of Los Angeles. And they jump off the building and they fall to their deaths. And then Calypso pulls out 2 plane tickets and he says, I hope these are refundable.
Wow.
Like zero incentive to even play and win in the game. And another example, like Twister, which is the Indy 500 car, driven by I think a girl, I forget what her name is, but she's like, I want to be the fastest driver ever. She wants to be able to drive at the speed of light. So Calypso grants this wish, and then she starts driving at the speed of light, breaks through the space-time continuum, and starts traveling through time. But she doesn't realize that she runs out of gas in the prehistoric period, right around when the dinosaurs were around, that she gets eaten by a T-Rex. So you're like sitting there and you're like playing this game, you're like, come on, just give me because if you guys remember, it was a pretty difficult game just going through the story mode. Like, you only had 3 lives. You expended them towards the end when you were fighting Darktooth. That was it. You were done. You had to start all over again. So for my second pick, I'm going to go with Calypso, the guy that couldn't just let you have a victory at the end.
Yeah, he's a piece of garbage. I agree. All right, give us your third one.
Oh, I'm on the wheel again? All right. So I'm going to go retro again because I'm a retro gamer myself. Jesse, I hope he'll appreciate this one. I hated the Jason Ski Mask guy from Zombies Ate My Neighbor.
Why?
Because you had to like unload your arse. If you shot the water gun at him, the water pistol, you were going to be there for like several decades trying to kill this guy with a water pistol.
You can't
Get a better gun.
Get a better gun.
Do you have to face this guy in the fourth board with the hedges or whatever? Right? Yeah, but you could throw the soda cans. Doesn't matter. He's just like right through the woods, and you're like, damn, no break from this guy, and he just chases you endlessly. But I can remember how many times I lost on X amount of level and didn't have enough time to write down the code to get back to that level.
Yeah, remember a time where you had to put codes into games to get back to the level you wanted to be on?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah, like Mike Tyson's Punch Out. You had to remember to get all the way to Tyson.
You know what's funny though? If you use the Beast Potion in Zombies Ate My Neighbors, you could just kill him.
Yeah, you just punch him in his
pile drive him. But you had to save those.
Yeah, that was
typically
the
if you got
ideal
into
time
like
to use it.
yeah, totally worth on that guy.
Yeah, I'd always use him just for whenever I got him. I was not a avid, conservationalist when it came to whatever guns and material I got. I was like, just
Rob
use everything.
did not subscribe to the I might need this later.
No, I did not subscribe to that idea. That ideology had not occurred to me.
I might need this immediately.
Is that a zombie? Rocket launcher.
All right.
So that was that's my
hated
third
the
pick.
Wuhas.
Oh yeah.
The little kids with the axes, they ran at you just like, and you're like, oh no,
little pygmies. Yeah,
and they were like super fast, and they always hit me.
The first time I saw him was at the mall level or whatever.
Those guys were, those guys were terrifying.
All right,
such a good game though.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jason Ski Mask guy, got it.
Yes.
All right. For my third pick, all right. So Jesse's gonna hate this one. He kind of already knows it's coming. So I'm gonna go with Eddie Gordo from Tekken. So not that I was like any good at Tekken or anything, but like I honestly like valiantly tried to learn like combos and moves for the characters that I like to play. But man, like anytime I went up against someone playing Eddie Gordo, they were just button mashers that just danced on my face for 3 minutes straight. And more often than not, I would lose. Yeah, like the thing about Tekken is that it's all like it's like a fully like combo based game, as most of us know anyway. Yes. But Eddie Gordo, it didn't matter what position you were in your breakdancing, like any button would combo with any other button. So you could just mash on it and you're just doing super breakdance dance moves the entire time, kicking me in the face or hitting me with your dreads.
I think Joe is so mad about this because I was an Eddie Gordo main.
Yeah,
and
you were, and I hated it.
And I just mashed the controller and just beat him into
every time. Every time. I didn't have to play Tekken tag, and you wouldn't even have to tag because you would just dance on me.
And it's the worst because you're just getting danced on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not very good at fighting games to begin with, but button mashers that played Eddie Gordo, you guys are the worst. So Jesse, you're the worst.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Like it was just no matter what button you hit because of his design, it was just an outstanding combo. So where I stand is delete Eddie Gordo. Don't ever bring him back.
so funny. Dances on your face from button mashing.
Yeah, for 3 minutes straight.
Why did it take me 3 minutes to knock you out? It was not that long.
Because you had to kill me 3 times.
A minute per
all
round.
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go next.
Yeah.
It's funny because
Get outta
Joe picked my Tekken main, and then Connor picked one of my Smash Brothers mains.
And I also picked your tennis main.
Yeah, and you picked my tennis main. What's happening? People
Ooh.
just don't like to play games against me. All right, I'm just gonna go to my third pick. So my third pick, I'm gonna go with a character. Nobody knows him by name, or probably very few people know him by name. But if you've played the game, you'll know him by concept. His name is Justin Ayo or Io. I don't actually know how it's pronounced. He is from Fallout 4. He is part of the Institute. Joe might remember. He is the guy. Specifically, he's the guy that is just mad about you even being there. Spoiler alert. Fallout 4 came out a while ago, but spoiler alert. You get frozen, you get woken up, you see your son who's one get taken away, then you get frozen again, you wake up, and then you go on an adventure to try to find him. What you realize is he's much older than you now, and he's the leader of the Institute. So you get in the Institute, and then you find out that he's dying, and so he appoints you as the future leader of the Institute. And this guy, Justin Ayo, is so mad. Like, just the maddest. Because he's calling you an outsider the entire time, which is messed up because your son is the one who's leading the whole place. So you'd imagine he should trust you in that regard. The other thing that's really annoying about him is he's just always mad and just blames everybody else, no matter what. Like, he's a scientist and he just blames every other department for something going wrong, which, let's be real, nobody likes that guy at all.
But hear me out on this, Jess. Like, if you were at a job for, let's say, most of your adult life, and then some dude just comes waltzing in from a cryo chamber and is like, yo, I'm going to be the new leader of the Institute. And you're just like, what? I've been here the whole time.
Yeah, but you're the guy who created the entire thing's dad.
Yes.
And
But
the other
you've been there
arguments,
the whole time.
yes, but you don't get along with anybody anywhere.
That's true. He is a little bit of a crybaby.
The other thing about him that is actually really frustrating and kind of annoying is, so he's creating these synths that are going to the actual world and dealing with things, killing people, kidnapping, whatever. And there are some synths that like don't want to do that, so they'll just go up there and then they just like try to live a normal life as a synth. And he is like, we got to hunt them down and then clear their memory and reprogram to do what they're supposed to do. And even though they're like out living peacefully, he's like, I want to go out of our way to go deal with these, even though they're like, quote, we'll call them malfunctions, but he wants to go out.
Basically, he's not advocating for their sentience.
Exactly. And they're not, and these are ones that are not doing anything wrong. They're just like Nick.
They're just trying to live their life.
Yeah, like Nick Valentine. He's just out there helping
He's out there living his detective comic world.
Yes. So my third pick, I'm a detective comic world. So in my third pick, I'm going to go with Justin Ayo.
Good one.
That is
All right. So for my third pick, I'm gonna go with, obviously you guys know that I love horror games, and I feel like I've talked about this game before. But just out of sheer horror, the monsters from Amnesia. Those like that game, obviously if you haven't played, it's a survival horror. You have no weapons. Your only option is to run and hide, and you have an insanity meter that you have to manage if you're in the dark for too long. And so these monsters just had the most contorted, awful faces, and they would just chase you relentlessly, and you just had to hide. And I just remember one time in particular, I was playing the game, and it was like storming in real life, and I was just got seen by a monster. I was running through the mansion trying to get out, and I ran into a dead end, and I just crouched in the corner and just waited and you could just see him coming at me, and it was just terrifying. Scarred me for life.
So correct me here because I always get them mixed up. Is Amnesia or is it Outlast the one where you have the camera?
That's Outlast.
Okay, never mind.
But it's this exact same principle as opposed.
Yeah, because I remember the monsters from Outlast being terrifying. I don't remember the ones from Amnesia so much.
The ones in Amnesia, they like kind of looked like human. It was like a weird alien kind of.
Okay, I do remember them now. Okay, got
like
it.
they had big old heads when their mouths were awful looking.
Yeah, I think I tried to forget them. Thanks, Connor.
That's what I'm here for. But yeah, so for that's gonna be my third pick, just because they were absolutely terrifying. They haunt my
All right.
dreams.
All the monsters from Amnesia.
All the
All of
monsters.
them.
Yeah, because they all look the same.
All right, give us your last pick.
And my last pick, I'm gonna go with a game that I put a lot of hours in, Overwatch. I played as a healer, and when I would have this specific healer as my teammate, it just always made it so much harder, and that's Lucio.
Oh, what? Come on.
Man,
I played so much Lucio.
Lucio is so trash.
I out-healed you every game.
Because you're healing everybody at once. That doesn't mean you're being supportive. You're just preventing their death a little bit slower. And so it makes the main healer have to be that much harder to be like, everybody's dying, but they're just all dying a little bit slowly. And I felt like in competitive play, there was always better picks like Mora or Ana or these characters that would
or
wait.
the Geet.
Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of hate today, and I don't
you
like it.
were you were a Mora main back in the day.
I play yes, and then I played a lot more. Well,
You did
all
play
right.
a lot of Lucio.
I played a lot of Lucio too,
Did you?
because I just feel like his ultimate was so good,
His ult was good. His ult
and
was very,
I
very
feel
good.
like I could do a little bit of damage, and I was always I feel like in Overwatch you needed one single target and one AoE healer. Like you needed having a Moira and a
I always played Mercy too. Like that's why
Yeah.
Connor and I could never play together because we'd just be battling over Mercy the whole time.
Like I loved the idea of having a main like an AoE heal. I have just always been a preference of having um like two main healers, or even like when it came to tanks in that game, I always prefer two main tanks, not instead of like I liked like Zarya, but I would prefer like a Sig and a Rhine. They're both have shields. It's going to deflect a lot of the damage coming in. They can still do a lot of damage. And so I just felt like having two main healers always made it better. And so Lucio is definitely not a main healer.
Or Lucio just getting it.
Sorry, Lucio. But he's always he's so optimistic and positive though.
He is. He just wants to slam down those beats and ride the walls.
And ride the balls and dance.
Yeah.
I can't fault him for that. I like to dance.
I have a lot of select words, but I'm gonna leave them
Yeah.
outside of the podcast for you.
Yeah, leave them outside the podcast and then hit me with your last pick, Jess.
With my last pick, I'm gonna go with a very random one. I'm gonna go Goldine.
That's a good one. Goldine almost made my list because of how useless it is. So go ahead.
So-
I know what you're gonna say.
So Joe knows what I'm gonna say. So
Yeah.
Goldine sucks. It is a first Evo Pokemon, so whatever. It's not about that. It's mostly because what we talked about earlier, Super Smash Brothers. You would be playing Smash, and you're like, I got a Pokeball, awesome, and you'd throw it, and obviously you'd hit Joe in his dumb face,
Right in my dumb face.
right in a dumb face, and it opens up, and there's a Goldine,
Goldine.
and it does nothing.
Goldine,
Just
Goldine.
flopping around, splashing.
Just
So
splashes.
and the funny thing is, it uses Splash, which is Magikarp's iconic move, and Goldine doesn't even learn Splash in the games.
Messed up.
So
That's
it makes
how
no sense. So Goldine is the absolute worst. I would rather have the Magikarp because at least I know one day all my dreams will come true.
Big boy Gyarados. All right, so Goldine. I like that. That's a good one. It almost made my list because I thought of the same exact thing. Like there was nothing more demoralizing after throwing a Pokeball than just bomp, 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 flopping around.
Flopping around.
It was like straight up Snake Eyes.
Yeah, it really was. All right. So for my last pick, I'm gonna go with one it's a very recent pick for me because I was never really into this series until I met my wife. I'm gonna go with Tom Nook from Animal Crossing. That guy is just a straight up slumlord. Straight up slumlord. So he just exploits and manipulates the player character at every turn. Like right from the beginning of every game, he baits you into a huge mortgage on a new house. And the only way that you have to pay off the debt is by catching bugs and fishing and doing odd tasks just to survive. And you want upgrades for your furniture? Screw you, pay Nook. Oh, you want to make some friends and invite them over? Screw you, pay Nook. Like he makes the game less like a game and more about echoing real life responsibilities. And who wants that?
Joe, I got a question for you. So I was on the fence about playing Animal Crossing.
It's a great game. Don't
and
get me wrong.
I
Just Tom Nook is
Okay.
a jack. whatever. You know what I'm going to say. He's the
So,
JA.
do I
He's a J.
do I have the ability to avoid
You
this
can't.
individual?
There's
in
no
the game?
way. Like, he's an evil raccoon banker that sucks the fun out. Like, he will come and kneecap you if you don't give him his money. Like, he's coming for you. He's going to go through your garbage. He's going to find something in your garbage and then break your knee with it.
So you're saying he's a wise guy raccoon?
He kind of looks like a raccoon
right.
/ Tanuki. Like, he's a crossover.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say this sounds like the worst HOA of all time.
Yeah, it is literally the worst HOA of all time. Slumlord Nook. That's my last pick.
All right. So for my last pick, I gotta branch out. I gotta go with a Batmud boss or NPC. Jesse and Joe, you guys, I don't think neither of you have ever
Probably not. We suck at that game.
come across this mob. So there's one mob called called Moonrind. It's a tree ant. It's in a small area. It's pretty easily accessible. You don't have to go through, hellacious amounts of syntaxes to get to it. It's a small little workup, but basically he's like the Deku tree of Batmud. So he's like poisoned from the inside. You got to go inside and find something, and then you give it to him on the outside, thinking it's going to cure him, but instead it turns into this evil tree ant. And then at the end of his spiel, you can challenge him. And when you challenge him, it teleports you to like a massive open area. It's probably like 20 by 20 rooms. And there's just walls of thorns. For anybody that's like an old school, pen and pad D&D player, like he makes walls of thorns everywhere that anytime you're trying to run through it, you get poisoned. And they randomly pop up. He has a ton of specials. He's pretty much the hardest mob in game during the summer. He's relatively doable during the winter, so he has like a seasonal prot on him. But his specials include randomly asking a player a riddle that during the fight it's just hectic, so you can't like alt tab and Google the answer to this riddle. You either one, know the answer, or two, what I do is I have an outside Razor as also the Google riddle solver, and he just posts it in the channel. It's literally that, like, it's a lot of sensory overload. Because on top of that, another one of his specials is he randomly just swallows a character and puts him in a maze. And there's one exit you got to find in the maze. It's a linear maze. It doesn't loop around anywhere, but the exit's in a random room. So it's not always at, like, the end of a hallway or whatever. It could be smack in the middle and you would never know it. So if you're a tank, if you're, a death tank, as soon as you find the exit, you jump right out, and he spits you out right into his room. And if your party's not there, you're kind of on your own. And then he might have built wall of thorns around him. But the whole area is summonable, so you can like kind of call for summon in the process. If you're a back row, you got to wait for us to re-engage in combat, and then you come out and instantly follow. Other specials, if you're any linear distance from him, so straight north, straight south, east, or west, he just zaps through the bushes like 1,000 electrical damage. And he's constantly moving to try and stay lateral to you. So you basically can never just stay put in one spot. And then if he's close by, he'll just lug grenades at you pretty much. Ton of other specials, but as he gets lower in hit points, he gets harder. He changes all of his types up to and including his resist and what types he shoots. So prodding for him is hellacious. And if you're like, oh, I can protect myself just from his race, he'll randomly attune your race prots to Smurf. So there goes that. So it's just like a mob. The first hour, it goes great. You're like, oh, this is easy. No problem whatsoever. And then the last X amount of time it takes, he just gets harder and harder. And like I've failed him at 0 to 10% many times.
So now, while you've been explaining this fight the whole time, like a lot of people may be thinking, wow, this sounds like a really like cool like RPG that like I can visualize this like walking around a room. No, it's all text based. This is a fully text based immersion.
I mean, Batmud is, you would think it's text based, like, oh, well, it doesn't really challenge your reaction time, or that's very far from the truth. I mean, the most challenging, I guess, raids, if you're a World of Warcraft player, and any boss raids, the most challenging aspect is one being the leader of that, because not only if your players don't know what to do, you have to explain it to them beforehand. If you already know it, if you don't, you're kind of just probing it. And as a leader, you have to have that rapid reaction, and your rapid reaction is either pre-established commands or you have to come up with them on the fly. And it all depends on how much you can pay attention to. So really, even for a game that's now over 30 years old, almost over 30 years old, it still challenges your reaction time.
And they're always adding new content.
And
always.
Yeah, they were. This year's actually a big year. Druids, the guild Druids, is finally getting a rep system. Priests are getting reworked. The evil priests. There's definitely Templar is finally getting some workable stuff. So there's definitely some stuff coming down that I'm pretty excited to see. I mean, I don't play as much as I used to, but that's for other reasons. But we'll see. If the new stuff comes out, it usually draws back a ton of players that haven't been around in a while. So definitely excited to see it. So for my last pick, the Batmud character, Moonrind.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all for our list. So just to go over our lists one more time. So Rob, with his list, he has Navi, Calypso, Ski Mask Guy from Zombies and Many Neighbors, and Moonrind from Batmud. My list, I've got Baby Mario, Airy, Eddie Gordo, and Slumlord Nook. And Jesse's got Toad, Pokey, Justin Ayo, and Goldine. And Connor with Kirby, the Flood from Halo, the monsters from Amnesia, and Lucio. All right. We did it, guys. We got there. We made it through.
Not bad.
It was a pretty fun episode, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's for my first time. I got to steal something from Jesse. I could have
It's just
stole
a rite
two,
of
but I
passage.
didn't. I took
Yeah,
the
it's
high
a rite of
road.
passage at this point.
Yeah,
Everyone has to do
absolutely. Right. If you want to be on this show, you got to
Yeah, you
steal
gotta
from
figure
Jesse
it
as
out.
much as possible.
Yeah, and just hate on all of my mains.
Yep, exactly.
Like every single one of them. Like I thought somebody was going to say
speaking of which,
Lifeline soon.
On my list. I'm just kidding.
When we were talking about Mario Tennis, Boo was actually on
Oh,
my
yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Because the first time I played him, I'm like, oh, this is easy. And I think I was playing like Waluigi or something just because his laugh is hysterical. And first time I'm playing, the first hit, Boo is the trick shot.
curve.
So he does this wildly outrageous curve on the ball. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't. No, I don't. I'm like, this game is terrible. How do I even compete with that?
You're just faster than everybody.
Yep, exactly. You just have to move your dumpy head around the map really fast.
It's funny because I had one in the same. I had Spectre from
Twisted Metal.
from Twisted Metal because I was like, that
Homing
was
rockets.
What, because of the
he
ghost
does
missile?
the homing missile. It can hit you anywhere because it goes through walls, and he's the fastest character in the game. So it's
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
Axel's more annoying than he ever was.
Here's a better one. Jess, do you remember Spectre's ending?
I remember he was like a ghost or something and wanted to become whole.
No.
It's Mr. Grimm, I thought.
No. Mr. Grimm was, he needed souls, and then he
I
asked
do not
Calypso to
think.
just keep killing people. And then the world ran out of souls, and then Grimm eventually just withered away. Spectre he was a child that was picked on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And nobody really, and then he wanted the whole world to know who he was, so Calypso stretched his face to cover the sky.
Messed
Oh my
up.
god. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why he was on my list. That's why he was on my
The
list.
worst. All right. So before we go, we got a few things to wrap up. All right, Jess, hit us. What are we doing next week?
All right, so next week, episode 10, we're gonna do another rapid fire.
Oh yeah, here we go. It's gonna be ridiculous part 2.
Yes, this time we're gonna be 2 games each, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
So if any of you listeners out there want to get involved in the show or want to answer any of our questions that we had here today, make sure to reach out to us on any of our social media. So you can reach us at I Might Need This Later, AGP on Facebook and Instagram, IMNTL_podcast on Twitter, or by email at I Might Need This Later, AGP@gmail.com. So Rob, thanks again for joining us this week, man. It was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah, appreciate you guys
any last
having
parting
me.
words before you take off?
I just hope you guys keep gaming. Gaming's definitely been a big part of my life. Obviously, if anybody doesn't know, I was in the military for some time, and I did a lot of time overseas. So I always had some sort of means of entertaining myself via video games. And at the end of the day or the night or whenever we got back, it was nice to. I mean, back then it was Game Boy Advance or PSP. And, it moved its way up to computers and PC games, but I'd always stay with emulators and whatnot. And gaming definitely helped me kind of level myself a little bit through the years. So I just hope everybody keeps playing, especially if you love it. Doesn't matter what game it is. If you love it, keep playing.
Awesome. And also, if you guys want to hear more from Rob, or you guys want to play some games with him, he doesn't get on Batmud as much anymore. But if you're interested in a really cool text-based adventure, just make sure to log on to batmud.bat.org. And you'll find out all the info there. And if you want to talk to Rob, his username on there is Fuser. So you can just message him. Just tell Fuser butts, and he'll respond to you.
Yeah. I'll help you out where I can. I will help you out where I can.
All right, guys. Last thing. What are we playing this week? Rob, you're up.
So I've been playing Bat a little bit lately, but we spoke about it earlier. I have the Nintendo Switch. I played through Breath of the Wild, loved it. I did not dedicate as much time and maybe intimate detail to Skyrim, so I'm going to revisit Skyrim probably this week. At least devote some time to it and really pay attention to the itty bitty details and really get into it. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Jess, what do you got?
I'm gonna play the Cowboy Bebop game.
One that you just made up?
Yeah. I wish actually that'd be awesome. No, this week I'm doing a new playthrough of Fallout 4. I haven't played it since it came out. When it came out, I don't know, I played it for like 50, 60 hours, just smashed through the game, played it. It was awesome. This time I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the Institute. I had never done that. Plus I got a few mods since I'm playing on PC. So we did a few mods to make the game a little more interesting, a little more fun. I'll play that and probably a little more Raft.
Possibly some more Raft. All right, Connor, what about you?
I've been jumping back into Apex. Been trying to just grind that up between that and Overwatch.
One of us needs to be good at games. Godspeed to you, Connor. All right, for me, I am probably, man, I played so much Raft over the last week. Like, I want to play more. I want to play more of it because now that now that we've completed the story mode, I want to go back on hard mode and complete it on that. Because you know me, I like to do challenge stuff. Like that's what I do. But other than that, I guess we're just gonna do some more Pokemon stuff, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
I think next week we'll do a review from the toilet.
Oh yeah,
about
there's gonna be
Raft.
definitely a review from the toilet for Raft. Oh, and also, we were talking about starting up the forest again because I've got like I'm on like a survival like building kick right now. So the forest sounds like it's in the works. All right, that's it, boys. So for Jesse and Connor, my name's Joe, and thanks for listening to I Might Need This Later, a Gamers podcast. See you all next week.
Later.
Take care, guys.